Hello and welcome to another episode of Life Talks with Fawole. We have the voice behind the camera, the wizard, and the amazing Janelle Raeburn. Thank you for coming.
Oh wow, what a welcome. A round of applause and everything.
Yeah, we're warm here.
It's great to be here.
Janelle.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. It's fantastic to be here, and I'm just giving thanks for life at the moment, you know.
It's good. That's important. It's important. Mm-hmm. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm going to go right in. I'm going to ask you to start telling me about yourself. Where are you from?
Oh, big question. I was born and raised in northwest London, in Harlesden, and I have lived in North London, in Islington, for about just over 20 years, I would say. My parents are from the Caribbean. My mum's from Jamaica, my dad's from Trinidad. So, yeah, I'm a bit of a mixture, really. Caribbean girl, born in the UK, raised in North Wheezy.
Yeah, North Wheezy. Come on. Been up Harlesden, Northwest.
Have to, every time, or everywhere I go, North Wheezy, you know what I mean?
It's nice. It's nice. Mm-hmm. Close to the carnival?
Yeah, so I've always gone to the carnival every year. My uncle used to have a sound system and had a spot on All Saints Road. So I was kind of exposed to carnival culture from an early age and music in general. You know, he used to do a lot of parties and dances and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm all for the culture, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. It's like parties and dances. I remember, I won't give away my age unless someone actually directly asked me, but parties and that kind of stuff, for me, back in the days, it was like blues and stuff like that. Not like what you have now, like proper parties where there'd be little kids running around and stuff. There'd be food cooking, people have a baby sham, whatever. Like not the house party, the family thing. But there was also blues that you go to, and they black out the windows, and they'd be going to like in the next afternoon. Yeah,
bin bags on the window.
Yeah, bin bags on the window.
That's exactly what it was.
And the walls would be sweating. It was just nice.
Do you know what started that culture of blues dances and parties?
No.
Well, when the Windrush generation came here, and they started to settle and had children and stuff like that, they weren't allowed to go to certain like dance halls and disco places and to enjoy themselves. They literally weren't allowed, you know. There were no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, that kind of mentality.
I remember that kind of stuff. I know about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So
who was having dance halls at that time?
Who was having dances?
No, you said dance halls.
They did have
the English dance.
That's what they called them, dance halls. English dance halls. Yeah. Where they'd have
mods and all them lot. And
sometimes the mods, but like they actually had English dance halls or ballrooms. They would call them dance halls or ballrooms.
Wow.
Yeah, up and down the country. Yeah.
People don't know where that word comes from. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's literally what a dance hall is. It's a place where you go to dance. Some, you know, like I said, some would call it ballroom.
No, it's still on the top of certain places as well.
Yeah,
like the old school writing, it says dance hall.
Yeah,
see, I didn't know about that. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that at all.
Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? And now, obviously, we've got dancehall culture, which is very much linked to the evolution of reggae and Jamaican culture. But yeah, so when they first came here, they weren't allowed into these places, and very much enjoyment is about what, you know, Caribbean culture is all about. Work very hard, but also love to enjoy themselves, socialise, liming, which is just hanging out, and it's really a form of community fellowship, and they couldn't do that, so they started their own. And that's how the blues dance kind of evolved from there. And, you know, it doesn't start until late, and you've always got a sound system with food, and generally the windows are blacked out. And you're right, the kids will be running around. I remember as a child going to a lot of these kind of places. The kids would be upstairs playing or doing whatever, and the parents would be enjoying themselves. And you just have this real sense of kind of community, just enjoying that moment, coming together and celebrating life, really.
Northwest is one of the only places that had it how they still
Northwest.
They really do. No,
bro, we don't.
No,
until you go up there.
No, you guys got to talk.
Yeah, you kind of got to be brought in. You know what's there, because their party's lifestyle from way back as well, even till now, is its own world. That's why like people from Northwest don't really come out to rave. They don't really go to the raves that everyone else goes to. Because they've got enough in their area. You know what I'm saying?
See, for me, back in the day, like I did get about a lot, so I went to different places. I went over Northwest. We went everywhere. Went Kilburn, Chalk Hills. So Mozart, them places, Harlesden as well.
Church Road.
I don't know if I knew where I was some of the times, but probably I was at church. I went to Church Road certain times. I didn't realise where I was, kind of thing. But then we also had blues down here, like Fringy Park, like Yonge Park. Like for me, when I was young, but I was I'm 46 now, so I would have been off the back end of that probably. I remember running around parties sometimes with my big sisters at the party raving, and I was one of them kids running around trying to nick a baby sham or whatever. But then I also remember the food and everything. But then I also remember the first time I could, like when I was a kind of a man, and you just like you got a girl and you dance. I used to have to hold the wallpaper.
Oh, rub off the wallpaper.
Rub off the wallpaper, yeah. All the kind of things there.
There was actually a dance called Peel Off the Wallpaper. It's that funny, you know. They started a brand of a dance called Peel Off the Wallpaper.
Come on.
No, but you look back to those times, and for me anyway, I look back to those times, and it gives me a warm feeling because you reminisce on how much of a community we were and how together we were. And like, you know, we talk about it takes a village to raise a child, but back then it really was the case. So I literally grew up in Church Road in Harlesden. I couldn't be on the road doing certain things and expect that I wouldn't find my parents before I actually got indoors.
Wow.
Somebody would see, or in fact somebody would pull me up about it. And that was the norm, and it was okay. And through the evolution of time and different things happening within certain communities and communities being neglected, kind of you had the breakdown of community, so we've kind of lost that. So I came to North London, and yeah, there is a sense of community in North London, but I guess I felt like I was not part of it as the same way that I was part of a community in Northwest London. I mean, there's a really strong sense of kind of community spirit.
See, like the breakdown, I feel like I was party to that. Like I remember it kind of happening. Like in a sense where when they said, when there's certain things happen, like Margaret Thatcher's era and certain other eras, things have happened because I thought we've lived across certain major changes in humanity, you know. But when they said you can't smack your children, and they just started bringing in certain laws that kind of broke down the family, that broke down certain things, and they didn't allow you to do certain things. But then there was no one stepping in to do those things, and that was the beginning of the breakdown for me. Like certain little things. That's the only one I can really pull to recollection straight away, but maybe one of you could help me. I wouldn't blame it.
I'd say that we're second generation of people that just came to this country. Like we ain't been here that long, and we don't even really highlight that. Like our parents or our grandparents weren't even born here, so we're just a product of people. We're a product of immigrants.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I'm
just saying, like, you know, like just getting used to somewhere. So we had to find our feet here as a community first.
And find a rhythm, right?
And find a rhythm. And that's why places like Northwest and South and certain places that had, where black people were together, they had more community. Like where Islington was more of a multicultural area. So as much as we did have the unity, we didn't have it as much as certain areas. Like, you know, you got Commercial Street, which is Asian. You know what I mean? You got certain
Commercial,
areas. Green Lanes is Turkish. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so everywhere's got their areas that when they got those areas that are concentrated by those people, they have quite a strong community spirit. But the areas that are more mixed, we kind of just have our little pockets more than. Do you know what I'm saying? So they could have their all dayers and go and leave their kids there.
Yeah, but it's like us. That's what I'm saying as well. Now, us as black people, or as I don't even to digress into that, but you know, like. We could have blues, but then a certain time the people kept breaking up our blues. Like the police would come and say, "Oh, the music's too loud," and so on and so forth. There was a time when this all broke down. As a reason it all broke down. That's what I'm saying.
Because we just came.
No, but there was a time when it was all right. But go on.
It was all right, but I know what you're saying. We were able to do it initially, and then there was this. It's like the system pushed back on us, right? Over time.
They're like, oh, hold on.
Yeah, you're having too much fun right here. Come on, let's break it up. Too many black people in the same place. Break it up.
Yeah, that's awful.
You know, I mean, that's a stereotype. But we did just come. From my perspective, I mean, I grew up on an estate. We were the first families on the estate. It was just built.
What estate was it, sorry?
Church Road Estate.
Church Road Estate.
Yeah, so I grew up.
Big up Church Road Estate.
Yeah, big up Church Road. Mornaby Walk, Wharton Close.
What's up?
Yeah. But so we were the first families that kind of lived in that area, and it was very much predominantly black. There were a few white families in the area, but predominantly black. And as I said, it was really like a community. We had lots of community resources up until a certain point. So yes, our parents had to go out and work. Some were single parent families, some were two parent families, but those both my parents had to go out and work. So a lot of the time we were kind of like on our own. So we had after school clubs, we had youth clubs, community centres, this, that and the other, right? To actually focus your energy as children and as young people coming up, but also to nurture you and for you to still have that direction when your parents aren't around. And slowly but surely, you mentioned the Thatcher era and beyond, those resources started to get pulled from us.
Yeah, let's break it down.
And as those resources were pulled, you saw the closure of community centres, you saw the closure of youth centres, you saw, I remember you used to have a play centres up until you were 16. I remember when that changed and play centre was stopped when kids were 12. We had a bespoke youth program. Play centre, right? Right, so we had a bespoke youth program where youth workers used to come around to our estate every summer. It was free. Yeah. Our base was the park across the road. We didn't even have a building. Our base was the park across the road. But money was put into them coming around and taking us ice skating or taking us here or taking us there, right? Taking us swimming.
Yeah.
And that was stripped away. So then you've got youngsters with all this energy and nowhere to divert it and nobody to direct that energy. So what happens is, unfortunately, some certain types of behaviors set in, you know, instead of the energy being channeled in a positive way, it can sometimes go a bit, a bit left.
Like, I remember that was my favorite memory. It was Play Centre. Like, staying there and they made peanut butter on toast. I swear to God, it doesn't matter, but the peanut butter on toast, it tasted like caviar on toast. I can still taste it in the back of my throat now. Yeah. And I wasn't supposed to be at Play Centre. I was supposed to go home. My mum was waiting for me to come home. But I used to want to stay and watch, like, for the kids whose parents were working, I wanted to go Play Centre because I felt like I was missing out on something. Yeah. I remember my mum coming to see me in Play Centre. What are you doing here? But it just seemed like a whole big another pocket of enjoyment that I was missing out on.
Yeah. It was.
Do you know what I mean? It's just that word, Play Centre.
It's not school.
Yeah,
it's not school.
Yeah, school's over,
but you're kind of in school still because
you can have fun. Like,
you can have fun, but certainly, you know, in Northwest London, you had youth workers who represented the community that you came from. Yeah. So you think you can mess about? Yeah. Hey, no, they're gonna pull you up, and they're gonna pull you up in the language that you understand and that you respect. So you still had that hand of guidance there for you as young people, and that's male and female.
But were we any better? Honestly, was we any better than the kids these days?
Oh yeah, I think that in answer to that question, we was allowed to be kids. I remember having a full childhood, like as in I'll get pulled up by these people and they'll say, "What are you doing? Don't hit this person," but they'd explain to me why I shouldn't do this thing, and then it's whether or not I want to like take the advice.
No,
if I don't, like Janelle said, my mum would say, what did you do at Play Centre? Or my sister would be like, oh, that person at Play Centre told me what you did. And it would go down a chain, so you couldn't get away from it.
I just feel like we got away with a lot more.
Do you think so?
Yeah, we wasn't better than these kids. We was worse.
But no, what's your definition of worse?
I would say, from my perspective, I would say we were better. But go on, what's your definition of worse?
We were out there, like we was doing things we shouldn't be doing. Yeah, violence was still going on.
Were we stabbing people?
Stabbing, that's shooting.
No. Nah.
I'm 44, so that maybe wetting people. You're right.
That's it. They wasn't taking lives. They was giving you stripes. So it was different.
Miss Northwest and Mr. grew up in Finsbury Park.
Yeah, no, listen, Mr. I went everywhere. That's another thing.
No one was getting shot.
No, people.
I tell you when it happened. Let me tell you when it happened. It wasn't happening to 14, 13, 12 and 15-year-olds. The first time that I knew of someone that got shot.
No, I'm saying
I was 19, 18 on... I was about 19. The first person I knew that got shot and killed in Church Road.
Over the years, it's been like, for me, it was a fisticuff thing at first, I'm not saying it worked, but then it was a knife, then it was a gun thing, then it was a knife thing, then it was a gun thing. Then you know what I'm saying? The knife and the gun thing goes up and down on which is being used more for murder at particular times. But you know what I'm saying? We all come from areas where we know there's things that's gone on.
Yeah, but I would say in your question, were we any better? I think we were a hell of a lot better because we were almost allowed to like live our lives and do and grow as children. So if you were naughty and mischievous, you're naughty and mischievous. You had a bad crowd, you go and you play. I used to play runouts, play knock down ginger. You used to go to the shop, sometimes teeth something. You get me? When I got to 16, 17, 18, with a man them, used to walk around with a Lucozade bottle, because they were glass, with a little bit of liquid in it. That was the kind of thing I would defend myself with. I wasn't carrying a 7-inch.
No, I'm not saying.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm just on a grand scale. That's how what most man was moving back then. So we was just better in a sense.
We had people coming in from countries as well. That's our generation. Like people were coming from Jamaica, Africa, them times. Like there was yardies coming over. There was man that was coming from Africa, and there was on certain things, people flying people over and all of this stuff. Like remember Temple. Like, I'm just saying, I don't know if you remember Temple, like a lot of the raids.
That's the darker side, though.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
I feel like that happened later on. So I'm talking to probably up until the point where we left our estate when I was about 16.
Yeah.
And people started moving out of the estate because they're like, oh, they don't want their kids growing up in this area because it's a bad area. Yeah. That's when the community started to disintegrate and break down. But if I was to, I'm not a mathematician, but if I was to put it on a graph and put resources pumped into the community versus, for want of a better word, delinquency, you'll see that the less resources is the more that the more delinquency transpired, because the energy that young people have versus where they can channel that energy in the direction from elders, that started to deteriorate.
I meet with a lot of young people because I do little different projects or whatever I've done over the years. Some of them are big people now, you know what I mean? Like, but I have seen a different side of them. I see the advance in them. So, like, for me, I think there's a big dialogue that's out there about them. And it's a very small group of people that's like that. And a lot of the young people that I come across, and this is why I fight at this point more than anything, because they're so intelligent, they're so positive, they're so, you know what I mean, ready to be creative, ready to I feel like they're better than us. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it like that, but I feel like they have evolved. I just feel like no one actually says it.
No one's giving them credit.
No one's giving them credit.
That's the interesting point.
It's the same narrative that we keep giving them. Yeah. But if we think about even just the children that surround us, you know, there's some great, I'm sure, like nephews, nieces, your own kids, and you've watched some advancement, and you see some of their friends, and you're like, wow. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not, but that, I just feel like that has it's never part of the conversation.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, we tarnish them all with the same brush that they're trying to give us about them. And I believe that a lot of these young people are great. You know what I mean? They're amazing.
You're absolutely right.
Me away.
I used to do a show called No Ordinary Woman Chat Show, and we actually had a panel of No Ordinary Woman Chat Show, or Now Chat Show, which I co-hosted with Kaz Mack. Big up Kaz Mack, she's the founder.
Big up Kaz Mack. No Ordinary Woman Chat Show. Okay.
And we had an episode where we had young people on a panel, and it was about exactly that. How does the world see us? That was the question we put to them, and they were saying exactly the same as you, in that there's so many of them doing great things, but the focus is always on the pockets of those young people who aren't doing so great, or you know, maybe got themselves going down a wrong pathway, or misguided youth. And they're saying that, you know, instead of people talking to them about what they're doing, people are dictating and creating a narrative about what they're doing that doesn't reflect what they're doing. And sometimes they found it really disheartening because no one's recognizing the good stuff that they're doing. And you're right, now, especially with social media, especially with people, you know, there's more kind of things that are out there for people to be in tune with what they're capable of. Right? There's motivational speakers, people have achieved great things, and social media showcases all of that. You can actually see all of that. So I think that, you know, to your point where you said that young people are better than us, they are more prepared to think outside of the box and 100%. Do outside of the box, and believe that 100%. The world is their oyster and they can do anything that they want to do and 100%. Be creative. And that's what I love. They are so bold.
And very early.
Very early.
And they know what they want. You know
Trust
what I mean?
Me.
And like I say, I feel like if I'm going to be the only voice that says it, I'll say it. Because, you know, for the fact that I'm around something.
Janelle just said it too. So you're both saying it.
No, I'm glad that more voices are saying it. And your kids are amazing. So I'm just saying, look at your sons. I'm blown away by your son. Like, yo, look at it. The way he's talking to me.
He blows me away. He gets on my nerves, but I love him too. But I know what you're saying.
Whatever they do, they're still amazing.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying. It's like, who are we focusing on? The drill eyes.
Yeah. Janelle.
Yes.
What were you like in school?
Oh, I was a very bright pupil. Very bright. Always focused on my work, but I wouldn't say I was a goody two shoes all the same. I had a lot of energy, probably a lot of anger, like a lot of us growing up, for various reasons. You were a product of your environment as well. You had to grow up a certain way. You had to be tough. If you weren't, you didn't survive. So I guess adopted a certain type of persona that, even though my work was always done, I used to get myself into mischief at school. And not anything too serious, but like, you know, I'd be accused of distracting the class, or I'd finish my work and then I've got so much energy that I'm not focused on what I'm supposed to be doing, or just kind of being mischievous, I guess, and getting into fights. Not always.
A lot,
I wouldn't say a lot, but probably more than, if you were to do a tally of everybody around the country, maybe more than the average person, just because of this, where I went to school. And
that was a good way of answering it.
Diplomatic, isn't it?
Well,
when you say fights, though, who like girls, boys,
girls
anybody?
Northwest,
girls and boys,
Northwest.
Girls, boys. You fought on your I fought I was the eldest. I am the eldest of all of my siblings.
How many?
My mum and dad, we're 4, and then my dad has 7 children, so I'm the eldest of all of those children.
Wow, so mum and dad 4. Are you part of that 4?
I am the eldest of everybody.
So that's 11 in total.
No, my dad has 7.
So there's 10 below you.
No, so there's 6 below me. So my mum and dad were 4.
Are you linked?
And then my dad has 3. My dad has 3 more, not with my mum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So your total number is
7.
7.
Yeah.
Okay. Same as me.
Okay, yeah. So being the eldest, and then it was me and my brother for a long time, 2 years between us, and we used to fight.
Yeah.
And then it was me, my brother, and my cousins. There were only boys.
Like go at it.
Yeah, really go. Yeah. And sometimes over the stupidest things, you know. So yeah, we did, and so I was a kind of a tomboy.
I was gonna make a what's it, a confession. I remember getting beat up by a girl in a house party because like she was a bit older, but I didn't want to dance with her. And it went from being nice, and she just like I was really young, but I remember the tump she tumped me in my mouth. And I remember getting my lip bust. She bust my lip. I said, "It wasn't you, huh?"
Did you dance after that?
No, I didn't dance after that. But I realised what I did wrong. I realised how it went and everything. I realised like it taught me later when I had to play the game kind of thing. But sorry to digress.
No, and I feel like back then there was most of the time there was a definitive end to a fight. So it's like who won the fight?
Yeah.
So and so won, or so and so won. And actually, if you won, you felt great, but if you didn't win, you accepted your defeat as well. Yes. At the same time, it was like, okay, cool. Yeah, and sometimes you'd end up making up with that person, and you respect them for the fact that and they were just the better contender. So I think I don't regret any of the experiences that I had, because it shaped me to where I am today, and it allows me to have an understanding of potentially what, you know, even though my generation is far removed from this generation, potentially what young people have to face and what they go through, especially growing up in certain areas, the pressures that are on them to kind of represent a certain way or be, you know, hard or tough or whatever. And it's a lot of pressure, you know. So, yeah, I mean, growing up in Northwest, it wasn't, every day wasn't a bed of roses, but I wouldn't have changed it for the world. I actually loved it. That sense of community, like I said to you before, that I had, you know, was priceless. It was second to none.
I remember those times, like school journeys and stuff like that. So when you moved from, she was about 16, you moved out from Church Road?
Probably a bit older, actually. Probably, so about 17.
Where did you move to? How was that?
So my parents moved to Stanmore.
Okay, I know Stanmore.
Yeah, which at the time was far. It felt like far. It's not that far, but now, but it felt really far.
It's a lot quieter than where you
was. It's a lot quieter. And then I came and lived in North London when I was about 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you find that?
Very different. My aunt was from West London, so from Ladbroke Grove. That's where my grandmother lived. And then my aunt moved up here kind of when I was still in my teens. She lived in Archway, and I used to come and visit her.
Wow, it's close by.
Very close by. So that's really what exposed me. I mean, yeah, she was up on Hazelville Road, up at the top of the hill. Yeah, she's still in Islington, but she's not up there now. Yeah,
it's your reputation in itself still.
And I didn't really know that or feel that at the time. I guess, as I say, coming from North West London, I didn't really sense that. What did strike me was the diversity. I was coming from a black area.
Yeah.
And as I say, there were 1 or 2 white families on my estate. The school I went to was mainly black and Irish. But coming to North London, I saw like people from all types of backgrounds. And one thing that really did strike me was seeing mixed relationships, because I did not see this growing up at all. And it was such it was like a stare. Whereas for people up here, it was normal. For me, coming from North West London, it was like a staring moment, like, oh, wow. I haven't seen that before type thing, you know. So it's interesting to be in London, but you know, the pockets of London have their own different experiences. I think this is what you were saying as well, you know, different experiences depending on what the demographic is like, when the people have kind of moved in, you know, deep buried in the East End, you've got a certain type of a culture. South London has its own culture. I remember going to, we used to go Sunday school, and I went to a church camp.
Dropping bomb Sunday school.
Listen, the minibus used to come round to my estate and scoop up all the kids and take them to Sunday school. Yeah.
Wow. I used to hate Sunday school. I love God. I love you, God. But I used to hate God telling you.
I used to enjoy it just for the interaction with the other young people.
Youth days, it was all right.
And we went to camp, and I met these. So there were on the Christian youth camp. There were girls from South London. In the camp?
You know, like them Christian all-nighters where you have camp?
A convention. No, the youth camp wasn't quite like that. But I've been convention.
Yeah.
Them
I remember them ones back in the day.
And then good, like Billy Graham coming into town and like the whole stadium's packed out and all them kind of things.
Yeah. You run around the church.
Yeah, but anyone could beat you in that, like in that church, and especially the older ladies. What? That was like you disrupting Neki one slap with their tambourine.
And you couldn't do nothing about it, but that was like the religious blues. That was like all nighters to the next day was good. Food, music, everything.
And
people and dancing and singing.
Everything. I remember
live music. Yeah. So
good times.
Very good times. Very good times. But I met some people from South London who were also young, you know, maybe they were about 12, 13. And what I found was, and especially back then, there was no social media. London wasn't as connected, and the north-south divide was crazy back then, right? Crazy. It was like a different world. And so I remember like interacting with these girls from South London, and I just thought they were just from a different planet. They dressed different, they spoke different, they moved different, they were into different things. Even though they were still very kind of cultured in their own way, it was very different. So I think that now, with social media and stuff, there's a lot more fluidity in and around London, but you still get different pockets. I don't even really have a clue what Northwest London is like. Who is predominantly there? What kind of demographic is there?
How they move? I still think that people from South move different from people from North, West, and East. I still think it was different, but not the disparity isn't as big as what you said.
What it used to be.
And you can see it more. You understand it more because you see it more. But I think they're all still very different, man.
I feel like there's less individuality due to the internet. I don't know. Maybe I should just put that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we've all
generic.
Everyone's gonna be generic-ish.
Yeah,
generic-ish. We're making new words on generic-ish, not blackish, generic-ish. We're gonna use that now. The voice behind the camera. From now on, if you're generic-ish, sort it out. Be individual. Be yourself. Okay. Don't be generic-ish.
Don't be generic-ish.
You're busting that. That's not word. Come on. So. Coming into your own as well. So 18, obviously you're coming to be a woman and everything. You still religious now?
I wouldn't describe myself as religious. Spiritual. I believe in the Almighty. I pray. I also believe in the spiritual impression we have from our ancestors. If we want to tap into them, we are the sum total of everybody that's come before us. So for me, it's about spirituality.
Wow. Yeah. No, you could. This is his realm. If you want anything to add here, I know already. This is your realm. Can you repeat that, please?
Oh my gosh, I can't.
No. We
are the sum total of everybody, all of our ancestors that have come before us. It's fact.
We are the sum total of all of our ancestors that come before us. So we're not the first. We're here. They're reliving their life through us as well.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And then so we've also got all of their power as well.
That is right.
This is what these people out there are fearing from us. The power that still resides in us, that is handed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
And they can see it in our eyes. They see it in our skin and our power when we're talking.
Yeah.
But don't let them give you a colour that you're not.
Don't let them give you a colour that you're not. Which is what colour?
Black.
Okay.
It's true.
There's no such colour, is there?
No, there is. But the table's black.
Yeah. And actually, it's only that, and that's a whole next debate, but it's only black and white in terms of ethnic
names,
backgrounds that are defined by a colour.
So, and no one else is
defined by a colour.
It's rude to the rest of them as well, because it's like we don't know what you lot are, but because that's how they feel.
Yeah.
What are you like? Oh, don't worry, you're brown, you're yellow, you're. You know what I mean? But like the whole human race is brown, different shades of brown.
That's right.
You're here.
So
it's your time.
No,
it's your time.
True.
No, it's your time.
I always throw it in.
No, but you're right. It's your time.
The whole human race is brown, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You met a light brown person and a dark brown person. They have a baby. What color is the baby?
Brown.
Again?
No, we've been on this subject, and I have to concur with this learned man right now. Sometimes I argue with him on certain things, but like just to argue. But you're quite right, and you just reiterated it for me as well. So coming up now, I'm gonna drop some bombs on you because you didn't know. I didn't know. You're very beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't make you. Thank your parents. Thank your ancestors.
I'm thanking my ancestors.
Yeah, thank your ancestors.
To be honest, yeah.
Have you always been like looked how you look now, or did you like? Because some people, they grow into their beauty. You know what I mean? Was that why you used to fight a lot? What was like?
You used to fight a lot because you're pretty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Was you always like that?
Maybe
no, but some people they're pretty when they're young, you know. Some people are ugly ducklings. I'm not saying it, but you could tell me. But some people are like, then they come like, oh, you know, you never know. So I'm
tell them.
I think I've been told that I haven't changed much over the years. That's what I've been told.
Okay.
When I was I very girly growing up? Not really, because I grew with so many like boys. I guess my brothers and my cousins. But I think when I became more aware and conscious of my feminine side was when I entered Miss Jamaica UK. So that was probably when I was about, gosh.
And what else? You entered in...
Oh, I entered in one.
Okay, please don't.
I didn't win. I'm gonna tell the full story. I didn't win the first time around. So everyone remembers Afro Hair and Beauty Show. I'm sure
course,
when it used to be at Ali Pali. It was a day out. Like carnival. Yeah, you like what you going Afro Hair and Beauty. Yeah. What are you wearing? Yeah. Well, mans need to get their trim. Girls need to look hot. Right.
Yeah.
And you'd land with your crew at Afro Hair and Beauty Ali Pali, right?
Yeah.
So this was probably 1998, I would say. I went to Afro Hair and Beauty with my friends, and a lady approached me. She's like, "Oh, where are you from? Where are your parents from?" And I thought it was a bit strange. And I said, "Well, my mum's from Jamaica, my dad's from Trinidad." And then she says to me, "Would you be interested in entering Miss Jamaica UK?" And I was like, "What is that?" I didn't have a clue what it was. And she told me what it was, and I thought. And then my friends were there, like, "Yeah, you should do it." I was like, "Oh, okay then." Never knew or experienced anything like that in my life. Didn't even know that world existed, but just went for it. But just went for it anyway. And the first time I did it in 1998, it was a completely different world for me. And I entered, and I was one of the kind of shortlisted for one of the finalists, but I didn't win. And I remember each of the finalists, I think there were probably about 15 contestants, and we were whittled down to about 7 finalists. And you're asked a question on the spot. And I just remember that I froze, like everything in me froze. I was like, I didn't know what to say.
What was the question? You remember the question?
Probably, I can't actually remember, but probably something simple like describe yourself in 5 words. Simple, easy, you know. But because I hadn't been exposed to a world like that at all, I kind of froze with nerves and fear, and I didn't have the confidence. But the experience itself was so great, and the kind of the mentoring and the nurturing from the people that ran it felt so good, and you know, you felt like you're celebrating your culture in some kind of way. That I was like, I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed the friendships that I made at the time as well. And so I remember the president of the pageant said to me, she's like, "Okay, you didn't quite do it this year, but stick with me. Come and see what the event's like next year." And she said, "And if you're still interested, I would suggest you enter in 2 years' time." So I did. And I guess what that really gave me was exposure to, like I said, to a world that I didn't know existed, but networks I probably wouldn't have had. And also it gave me a massive dose of confidence, which is so important for young people. And back to talking about young people, they got so much confidence nowadays. They're like, they're brimming with confidence. And we can be confident in our peer groups, but it's about being confident in any surrounding setting, and especially in front of people who are older than us, right? Definitely. So this gave me a massive dose of feeling comfortable in my skin and confident to get up on a stage and talk to people and talk in front of people and think on my feet, and you know, and not be fearful in front of an audience and stuff like that. So I guess that was the starting point for me, and that helped me in so many other areas of my life, connecting me to, like I said, to networks that maybe I wouldn't have been connected to. I started doing a lot of work within the Jamaican diaspora, working closely with the Jamaica High Commission, etc., and have been ever since.
Big up Jamaica.
Jamaica's 60th year of independence this year, by the way. Yeah, no, this year, the 6th of August. It's a big year for Jamaica this year.
Wow. One more time. Big up Jamaica.
Brand Jamaica all the way.
All the way. And Nigeria too.
And Nigeria, come on now, come on.
Go.
But yeah, so that really.
I ain't Kenya. You already said it. I ain't Kenya.
Listen, let's big up the diaspora. Full stop. Yeah.
There you go.
Let's big up the diaspora.
I'm gonna big up the human race.
I'm joking.
You can big up the human race. Yeah. That's so PC, but big up the human race too.
And Nigeria, especially Yoruba.
Do you know what? Actually, saying that, my mum did her DNA. You know these DNA kits. Yeah. My mum did her DNA, and she's 48% Nigerian.
I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question as well. Now, would it still be Priti Patel, right? So Priti Patel wants to dip people for clause 9, right? So what happens when the English people that think they're English, they do this thing that you're talking about and they're Nigerian or this, or the Nigerians find out they're Scottish or this? Where do they get dipped to?
No, I think they'll.
No, that's my. Do you hear my question?
They will be more happy to get dipped than us.
Yeah, but where do they get dipped to? Do you get what I'm saying? What do you
sending me to Nigeria, ain't they? I find that I'm from Nigeria.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
75%. I don't mind. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna live there for a couple of years. See how it goes.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't work out. Come back. Come back.
You're English though. You're dipped. Where do they go with that though? That's to me. That's a hot mess.
It is a hot mess. But no, it's a good point you make, and I think that if I understand rightly, the bill was stopped. That clause 9, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not fully up to speed, but I believe
loads of people on the low. In the
last 2 years. They have. Yeah.
Loads.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've done what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
They've kind of got their numbers.
Yeah, and you know, in terms of human rights violation, that's a massive human. Imagine you bought. I mean, let's not even touch the Windrush scandal because that was just absolutely atrocious. And to be honest, it still has not been fully rectified as it should be in terms of people getting compensation. People ended up dying, being deported back to a place that they didn't know anything about. And just on that Windrush thing, my mum, so my grandmother was part of the Windrush generation, and so is my mum. Now, had my grandmother not sorted out my mum's papers at the time, my mum would have been somebody who would have been, It's just that my grand made sure they had a passport and everything, you know. But had my grand not done that, my mum would have been included in that Windrush people being sent back. My mum's been here since she was like a kid.
There's people our age and younger that couldn't get their papers because their parents.
Yeah, that's it.
Because their parents didn't. There's people.
Say again.
Like, there's people our age and younger that couldn't get passports because of all of that. Like, I know people that couldn't get passports because they didn't before. And now they're going,
that's right,
to get passport, and they're seeing that the people are saying that their information's all over the place where they couldn't. And then if it wasn't for the Windrush scandal being called a scandal and things being sorted out underneath it, like you being able to contact people on that basis,
they'd have been effed
completely.
There's so many people that couldn't leave the country all of these years, bro.
Yeah.
What kind of life is that as well? It's not living, is it? It's not life.
So many of these people are not even criminals. That's bad.
No, far from criminals. Far from.
What pisses me off or sickens me is the people that are making these laws are sitting down, like what's going on with the scandals are going on. I want to talk about the scandals going on right now, but they're sitting down, eating off the taxpayers' money, enjoying their lives, doing everything, and passing laws that are ruining people's lives. It's a problem. It's a big problem.
I think the direction of travel that we've seen, kind of politics and policy go in the UK, is pretty scary, especially for people who are either immigrants or descendants of immigrants. It's a bit of a worry, given that, you know, this country in years gone by has gone around the world and committed atrocities, so-called colonizing the world, and benefited economically from that. And now that there are people within their country that are like, oh, you know what, we don't really want you anymore, you know, let's find a sneaky way for us to clear you out. It's almost like a form of ethnic cleansing, which is an atrocity, really. But I guess we've just got to be vigilant and not be distracted by certain things. So when these things come up, we can try and kick against it and fight against it. You know,
it's a lot. It's a lot to think. It's a lot. It's just it's a lot. Do you know? So I hate rolling this. So when you went back 2 years later, or however later, when you went back and you was like more ready and everything, well, tell me about your journey back. Tell me about the journey from going back and actually winning Mrs. Jamaica,
UK. So the journey going back. So the following year, I went and watched the show. As a spectator, if you like, and saw how, you know, the girls did and how they performed, and especially the one that won, and kind of chatted to a few of the girls and stuff like that, and just continued to keep the link. And then the following year, I just felt like I was ready. I'd grown. I had already, so as part of my university course, I spent a year studying in Paris, which was great. So I'd also travelled and spent some time away from home, so I've been able to build up, you know, kind of confidence and a sense of who I am in that respect as well. And so that all helped me. So come the time for me to go up on stage and do my thing, it was I just did my thing. Yeah,
it was easy.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was easier than the first time I did it.
So when you won, how did you feel?
I felt great. I was ecstatic. I was over the moon. It was a surprise.
Or did you do? No, not me. Like,
I was surprised. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I was shocked. But I also felt very proud.
Nice. To represent your country.
To represent my heritage. So even though I was born here, I'm still very in touch with, like a lot of us, again, back to your point, we are the children of probably immigrants, like my parents were, you know.
We are the world.
Right?
We are the children.
Like you probably, you know, with your in your household with your mum, you grew up, but you were very connected, I'm sure, to your Nigerian roots.
Ayo Fawole.
There you go. Hey.
Strong, your ballet. Yeah, give this all. I like that one. Thank you. God bless you. So you know, you went to that test.
Well, I do it. My mum 48%, so I'm bound to have a little drop there, here, there, and everywhere. So
that's the fight in you. I love that.
Well, this is it. So I'm going to digress a little bit, but when I went to secondary school, so my parents sent me, well, my dad in particular sent me out of the area. He sent me to a grammar school. So I was bright. And he said, right, you're not going to school in Brent. That's not happening. So I did an entrance exam to get into a grammar school in Finchley. Passed, had to do an interview, did the interview with the headmistress, passed that, got into the school. And there weren't many, there was probably about 3 classes per year in my school. So 30 pupils per class, about 90 pupils each year. And within my year, I was probably one of 6 black girls in that school. And a lot of them, you know, they weren't super rich, but their parents had money, you know, decent. Most of them weren't coming from a council estate in Northwest London. But what happened was I gravitated towards girls of a similar background to me. So girls who came from Brent. There was a few girls from Brent, and 2 of those girls were Nigerian. And we're still very good friends to this day. And I found that without knowing it, you kind of gravitate to what feels familiar, even if you don't know what familiarity is. So this is back to our ancestors and our DNA, and you know, you share kind of commonalities in terms of how you view the world, your experience growing up, the responsibilities your parents place on you as children, etc., etc. So yeah, even though it was great for my mum to find out what her heritage is, I wouldn't say it was that much of a surprise, because I feel connected. Like we are all of the African diaspora. Let's be real here. If you're in the Caribbean, you are from the African diaspora. So
everyone,
right? Well, everybody actually. The whole human race. That's where it started. Let's be real. That's where it started.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to ask you a question off the back of, because the conversation. I found what you said very interesting. Do you think that the children today are the way they are because they were allowed to do what they wanted to do? Where we was younger, but you just said something about us having to carry certain things for our parents and stuff. We never had the opportunity for that latitude. So they've got that latitude, so that's why they could be more rambunctious and know themselves better, because we never had a chance to know ourselves.
You know what I'm saying?
Because what do you think?
We've been here just a bit longer.
Yeah. Do you think that's
we're not immigrants? I'm not saying that we're not that deep. Like, we kind of like, we're children of immigrants, but we've been here. We kind of understand this place.
Yeah.
Our children don't get to feel that different to someone, to John's children.
Yeah, they just get on with it. They get on with it.
I hear where you're coming from with that, but also
we had to not have certain things because don't worry, you got it at home. Oh, don't worry, I just get you that pair. Oh, you better hold them shoes for how long?
And where your brothers? Hand-me-downs and stuff like that.
Hand-me-downs.
We don't do that to our kids.
Yeah.
We don't do that. So that they, like I say to you, they've got as new stuff as maybe even newer stuff than John's kids. Because John's like, I'm not buying you that, but you can have that.
Yeah.
Because John understands money. Because his family did it even longer. You gotta say it. So, you understand what I'm saying? But we were still, cool. Louis Vuittons, all of these different things, red bottoms for kids.
You see you and your ass behind the cameras coming in front of the camera soon, because the last couple of shows, even today, the accents and the voices and the faces you're pulling over
they got to imagine it. They got to imagine it. You know what I mean?
So you spoke about living in Paris for a year.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? And
that was amazing. I loved it.
Talk me about that.
And why?
Why? So I did European Studies as my degree. I did it at University of North London.
Très bien. It's good. Très bien is good or no?
Très bien.
Très bien.
Very good.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Ma chérie.
Very, very good. Very good.
But I do know one more saying. It's very, very cliche. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Oh là là.
Yeah. Oh là là. Oh là là. But you know what it is.
You're supposed to say that if you're a woman.
Is it?
No, it's okay. I was going to say,
is it a woman's?
It's a universal. Anybody could say it.
It's corny. It's corny as hell, isn't it?
It's very corny.
One more, sorry.
Go on, give it.
It's very old. It's a sacré bleu.
Sacré bleu.
They
don't really,
It's old.
It's like, oh, holy cow. Oh my word. But they don't really say that.
Right, sorry, I'm being greedy. One more.
Go on, give it.
No, one more thing. It's like, it's a scene from The Matrix when he goes, I've tried all the languages but none are as beautiful as French. It's like wiping your ass with silk. So like when they cuss, the French curse, he says it like, I can't mimic what he does, but he saes that when they curse, they're cursing, but the way they curse is just so beautiful. Like it rolls off your tongue. And I won't interrupt you anymore, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I love language. I love talking about language. So I did European Studies, and it was European economics, European politics, and then a modern European language. And I'd always loved French from school, so I did French. And there was an exchange program called the Erasmus Exchange program, which, because the UK is no longer part of the EU, UK students don't benefit from. But basically, you could either work or live in a country where of the language you were studying for a year. Work or study, I should say, in the country of the language you were studying for a year. And I had the choice between Martinique and Paris, and I chose Paris.
Wow.
Yeah, I chose Paris.
Did you not know where Martinique was?
I knew exactly where Martinique was, but back then, and I don't regret anything, but I'm gonna tell you why I chose Paris. Back then, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be away from London. Oh, like I've never been out of London that long. I felt like my whole world was in London, because you do, until you start to travel, you're like your mind doesn't expand until you start to expand it through travel. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go Paris.
Can you say that again, please?
Your mind doesn't expand until you start to expand it through things like travel.
Bam. Yeah. You at home, please take that note. Your mind doesn't expand until you start expanding it through things like travel.
Yeah, there's many other things, reading and stuff, but there's something that travel brings. It brings a different perspective, and you realize, wow, my environment or what I thought I knew isn't the only way. There's there's another way, and there's another way of life, and a whole big world out there. So I chose Paris because I didn't want to be too far from London. That's the bottom line. And I also was living on my own at the time, so I had a flat here as well. So it just kind of made sense. But I loved it. I love Paris. Paris is probably one of, if not my favorite European city, one of the favorites on my list. Why? Culture. You feel as soon as it's not just the food, it's the people, it's the energy, it's the scenery. And I was going at uni with a girl from Guadeloupe here. We were doing the same course, and she knew I was going to Paris, so she put me in touch with a friend of hers who was from Guadeloupe, who lived in Paris. And I was basically put in touch with her, and I was supposed to just stay with her for a few weeks until I actually found somewhere of my own, and I ended up just living with her for the duration of time that I was there. So as much as being immersed in Parisian culture and French culture by the same token, I was also fully immersed in French Caribbean culture. So there was a whole French Caribbean scene in Paris, and probably still exists now, where you had a lot of young people whose parents sent them from either Guadeloupe or Martinique to study in France, in Paris, or in wherever the big universities were. And so yeah, I was fully immersed in that. They had their own party scene, their own zouk scene. I learned how to dance zouk, food, just everything. So I benefited in many ways from being, so I still felt connected to a community, if you like, but I was able to experience Paris, was able to experience going to university in Paris. I worked when I was out there, worked part-time. And yeah, I just loved it. I just loved the energy of the place. It's a beautiful, magical city.
Wow.
Yeah. People say that the French are really rude. I wouldn't necessarily agree. Oh, I don't like Paris. People are too rude. Da, da, da. I just think they're just straight up. Like British people might not want to chat to you or might not like you, but they're going to pretend like they do. A French person won't. You just know where you stand.
What do you think about the thing that they say about French men and their mistresses, or they always have a mistress or something like that? Isn't that
It's true, but they're not like the British, where it's, I guess they see it as a normal part of life, whereas in Britain it's a scandal. So if a politician was known to have a mistress in France, it's not going to be a scandal. It's not going to make the front page of the Sun or whatever tabloid newspaper. Here it will.
They be doing what they do.
Just doing what they do. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of just accepted that that's what they do.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
I know this one too. C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
They're just more straight up. Like,
They're more straight up. So for them, they actually laugh at us when we have all these scandals about, you know, politicians caught with their trousers down and all that. They're like, this is, for them, that's just normal life.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So coming back to the UK from Paris, how was that for you? Was you happy to be home? Because I've been out of town for a little while. You get happy to be home? Did you?
I was happy to be home in some respects. I miss my friends, but since then I travel back and forth to Paris regularly, like a lot. So I had my friends in Paris. I would travel really often, spend time out there. In later years, I ended up working out there. So I really had a close kind of connection and an affection for France, and in particular Paris.
What food do you prefer? French, Caribbean, English?
Wow.
You have to rate them 1, 2, and 3, please.
Okay, so Caribbean, hands down.
Hey!
In fact, I'm being specific. Jamaican first.
All right.
French second.
Okay.
And English last.
so what's French food?
Then
we got French toast, French fries.
Escargot.
Escargot.
Escargot snails, yeah.
Snails, wow.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
They make them, they make this Nigerian
yeah, kind
snails.
of mushroomy.
Nigerian snails.
Meaty. Oh, delicious.
Nigerian snails.
I know, right? But you got the big ass snails, like the big sea snails, right?
Oh man, listen.
I haven't had Nigerian snails, by the way.
Never.
Like, I think
my mum brought them home one time from Nigeria, right? And then they're alive, innit? So she had them there. Imagine they was in the kitchen. I can't remember how old I was, but these motherfuckers started crawling up the wall. Like, I swear to God, they was going up the wall, right? I lost my bottom, my mind, everything. I'm at that now.
Your dinner was losing its mind, climbing the walls.
They couldn't do that, but it just seriously, no, they're massive snails, giant snails.
They're giant.
It's really, really nice when you cook them, really nice and all that. But I saw it walk up the wall. But yeah, so it's like.
And they are sea snails, right? I think the Nigerian ones are sea, but I know they're giant.
They're big. I don't know where they come from, but they're
yeah.
But then what is foie gras is frog legs.
Foie gras is
the duck's liver.
Yeah.
Until it explodes, isn't it?
They kind of force feed the duck. It's actually considered a cruel delicacy now. So they force feed the duck until the liver gets fat, and it's like it's pate basically.
Yeah.
It's nasty, man.
But it's considered
Nigerians
a delicacy.
In Jamaicans, you like eat some crazy stuff, man.
Sorry?
You like eat a lot of foot.
Listen, don't knock the foot, you know.
That's what I said. You lot.
Yeah.
Jamaicans eat cow foot.
That's what I said.
Yeah, he said Nigerians.
Yeah, what do you think? They don't eat cow foot? Where you come from?
They don't eat foot.
They eat bush meat, bro.
Yeah, they don't eat foot.
They eat bush meat, bro.
They don't eat feet.
Okay, what's bush
meat? I don't eat bush meat though, bro. I don't eat feet.
I
don't eat feet. Sorry, God.
No, I was gonna say so eating the feet and the offcuts is because if you couldn't afford the more expensive parts of the meat,
back in slavery, so they gave
rubbish. Slavery is a concept.
All right, cool.
Anyway,
go,
that's part of the reason why we eat those offcuts. But also, you wouldn't waste any part of the animal. So you'd have goat head soup, you'd have pig's trotters.
A lot of people eat it as well.
Do you eat oxtail?
Yeah.
That's considered kind of offal-ish.
That's one of the best meats.
It's beautiful.
We're not the only people that eat that though.
Yeah, but the only one people that eat feet all over the world.
Okay, do you eat goat?
Yeah.
All right. You see in the UK?
Yeah.
Tell most people about goat. Goat, they'd be like, you eat goat? Oh my God, goat? People who, in London's different because everyone knows about curry goat.
Curry goat. Oh, is it Caribbean?
But that's London. Remember, we're in London. London is not representative of the rest of the UK.
Who are these other people?
They live in Sussex and
their
whatever.
opinion's not even relevant.
Wow.
London's where it's at, isn't it? Let's wait. Okay. London's the centre of the universe.
Supposed to go to Leeds and Coventry and start asking people questions.
I mean, in Leeds and Coventry, they'll probably. Maybe not Coventry, but Leeds and Sheffield.
Manchester.
Manchester.
Where are we talking about then? Where are we talking about?
We're talking about Middle England. We're talking about Cheshire. We're talking about Sussex. We're talking about Ipswich. We're talking about Ipswich. We're talking about Reading.
Listen, there's a lot of.
No, actually, Reading. There's quite a diaspora in Reading.
Ipswich. Listen, we're everywhere. We're everywhere.
We are everywhere.
And there's a curry goat shop everywhere.
There is a curry goat shop
these days.
So let's talk about culture then, because that's very close to your heart.
Yeah.
If we talk about food, because for me, that's a food culture what we talk about right there. The curry goat, and it's like that's the first thing a lot of people will say. You see Jamaica, oh, you want any curry goat? I love a bit of curry goat. I'm from Jamaica. That's the first thing they're gonna say. I'm not trying to do a funny accent, but it is what it is. That's what they say. Curry goat. If it's Nigeria, they'll say jollof rice.
Jollof rice.
No, they'll say jollof rice.
Okay, which is the best? I'm gonna digress a little bit. Ghanaian or Nigerian jollof?
What's Ghanaian? Do Ghanaian make jollof?
Oh yeah, they do. There's a big debate. Yeah.
Ghanaians make rice with stew on it. They don't make jollof.
They're like Cheshire.
I have no opinion on that. My Ghanaian and Nigerian brothers and sisters, no opinion.
There's no such thing as jollof. Is that same stuff you find in a kebab shop? That bulgari. That's it. The only jollof comes from Nigeria.
No, that bulgur rice does taste like jollof sometimes.
That's what it is. That's the Ghanaian jollof. What I tell you, what's Ghanaian jollof? What's Ghanaian jollof? It's what it is. Yeah. So, because we've got the frog's legs, the foie gras, the curry goat.
Yeah.
Never had frog's legs, by the way.
I have.
But they eat frog's legs in the Caribbean. They call it mountain chicken.
Yeah, it's nice. They're nice.
I've heard it's nice. Tastes like chicken. No?
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. I just can't remember. I just remember like going, I think I was in the States when I had it. But I don't know how I managed to have it in the States, but I just ask for things I've seen on films. I always used to do that. If I've seen it on the film, can I have that? Just because I've seen it on the film, I had the James Bond drink just because I saw it on the film.
Martini shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, I know.
With olives.
Everything. I want olives. I want a martini shaken, not stirred. I want some olives in there too. And I gave it all of that. I had to cut the drinks already, but because I could, I was on holiday. I said,
Fawole. Fawole.
I know. Give me some. Give me three. Give me on the side. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Can you say the second name again?
The name.
Fawole.
Okay, no, I'm gonna give you. The name's Ayo.
No, you gotta do the last name first.
Oh, shame.
It's the last name.
Fawole.
Oh, Fawole.
Ayo.
Fawole.
Don't you forget it. Shaken, not stirred.
Next James Bond right here.
No, this is Ayo Fawole. Bond James Bond, he's dead. New secret agent.
He's actually dead.
Yeah.
That's true, he's dead. And let's talk about who's going to take over from him.
Ayo Fawole, come on.
Okay.
Well, you should make it more English. Maybe called Ayo Fowler.
Ayo Fowler. Oh my God.
Then they'll think he stepped out of EastEnders. You know what I mean?
Ayo Fawole. Please, no, is it?
Fawole.
Don't spit it.
It's a nice name.
Yeah. Sorry. So where was he? We got culture, food culture.
Yeah.
Food culture. Please jump in. What's your favourite food? Wizard. You never got that big by not eating?
Yeah, probably just a steak or something like that.
Steaks, that's English, isn't it?
It depends. It could be English, French.
You don't like too much sauce in that, so...
Yeah, so you English.
How do you have it? Rare, medium?
Well done.
Now that's where the Caribbean comes in.
Yeah.
You know?
You
Burnt to within an inch of his life.
Well done thing, yeah? You think you want it well done because that's what people tell you to say.
You don't.
You don't want it well
I learned
done.
that in France.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I just feel like it's straight out there.
It tastes so much better when it's medium rare.
Yeah.
Medium well, thank
Medium
you.
well.
Got it on the nose.
Yeah.
If you want to be adventurous, you could do medium, but medium well is okay.
Good meat though.
Certain places they just ignore you. You know that, right?
Yeah, what?
You cannot go to France. Do you know? Like
They just
you
ignore
can.
you.
Yeah. Because they're like, no, you're disrespecting the team. Like, yo, big chefs are like, you're disrespecting the team. What this man wants me to bun up the steak?
But how can someone do that though? I've asked you for one thing. You're like, no, you're eating like that.
If he sends it back, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But he don't know what he wants.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the first time I did have a medium or a medium well steak, I was like, okay, I get it. I actually
It's
get
soft
it.
and succulent, isn't it?
The flavour is just
I like a good bit of steak.
but Caribbean, like, we're like, yeah, medium, well done, no blood. You know, that's usually the same. I don't want to see no blood, you know, don't bring no blood to my plate, you know. No pig, nothing, ain't cooked.
That's a culture thing as well.
It's a culture thing.
Would you you take this now, Janelle Raeburn.
Yes.
What part of the culture do you want to talk about, or what aspect of culture?
Oh gosh, culture is so vast. It's so diverse. I think culture defines who you are. You know, I think that, I mean, in the words, and I paraphrase, but in the words of Marcus Garvey, people without knowledge of their roots and culture is like people without knowledge of their history and culture, something to that effect, is like a tree without roots. So if you don't know where you're coming from and you're not grounded in something, you have no idea where you're going, where you can go to, and you're not even going to grow because your roots are stunted. You've got to feed kind of like the roots in order for your tree to grow. So for me, culture is what kept me grounded. Culture is what keeps me sane, understanding that I'm born here, but that I have a whole history behind where I'm coming from. And it's not just the Caribbean, it's beyond that, it's before that. It's taking it right back through my ancestry, trying to understand that and really understanding who am I here today and what's come before me and why am I here today? How am I here today? And why am I the way I am today? Whose traits do I have, you know? Where does certain kind of passion for certain things come from? It's, like I said before, we're a sum total of our ancestors. So I feel like with culture, that shapes and gives you a sense of direction, a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and you know, it's about nurturing culture. Culture breeds so many things: music, food, creativity, art. So many things come from the cultural context. So for me, culture is everything.
Traveling makes you realize again you're of this world. I'm not of a land that I was born in or of the land that my parents come from, but I'm of this world. Because there's places that you will love that you may not know. Maybe you do have some connection to it, but you might not have no blood connection to it. But you feel fully connected to it. And that doesn't. So to me, like where did our parents start being there? You know, like we don't know which grandparent came to that country neither. Like we don't know if they was always there. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like
that's the ancestral thing that you're saying.
That's,
and
that's why we got always also take on our Britishness. That's a word. But
that's a word. What was the other word we made?
Generic-ish.
Generic-ish, yeah, thank you. Generic-ish.
Well, culture makes you not generic-ish. That's what I would say. If you got an idea of your culture.
But that's why I say you kind of like, because look, they got things that's called cancel culture. Yeah? So
right,
when they throw this culture word around, culture, I feel like culture is now selective, where it wasn't before. You can choose what culture you want to be a part of these days. Whereas before you would just be part of that culture. Whereas now you can choose.
Or you can even influence. There are cultural influences out there, you know.
So you kind of have to. Cultural evolution is done by individuals, as we've seen over the years. Whether it was people like Marcus Garvey or even music producers or all of these
pop
kind
culture.
of things, pop culture. So it's like all of these things change, and they change more rapidly as we've got instant access to people. Like even the celebrities not as big anymore because you can just message them if you want. You know what I mean? So,
can you?
Yeah.
Did they message back though?
If you message them something nasty.
I love you.
Well, you troll them.
Look at it, Janelle. You only me. You saw his face. You see the way his face changed. You see my face?
I've always said it. Like, why do they always respond to people that's dissing them, but all the people that share them love ain't got no response?
That's a good
profound, man.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I think
because I would say like I'm not saying I've done it before, or may have done it before, but you know someone's got thousands. No, in fact I have done it before. Like, but the people that I know personally that are now famous for one, like whatever, and I'm just like, and if they see me now, they're like, hey, what's up? But I've got their thing on the thing, I've messaged them, but I just got air. It's pure air, and I'm like, what's all that about?
Yeah.
But like they also, if I do something nasty now, maybe I'll get a response.
100%.
Yeah, but I'm not that kind of guy though.
No, I'm not. But I just observe these.
But that makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, if people they like fighting back, but they don't like to give love back. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what people are like. I'm just saying that's just. I'm not trying to digress on that side.
Yeah, no, we can talk about it. We could talk about it. What do you think about that?
I think it's an interesting point. What I do think is that, you know, if celebrities must get messages all the time, and a lot of the time they can't respond to all the messages. So I think that's part of it as well. They might get a lot of love from a lot of people.
That's not part of why you respond to a negative message.
True. But the negative, do they respond to negative DMs? Maybe not, but negative comments under their page.
But why? If you're gonna just don't respond.
Just don't respond.
Like you said,
there's something in human nature though that triggers people's like ego and sense of security. So when they see
nature, it's not human.
So
it's program nature.
If I want to talk to them, I should abuse them. Let them come back and say, no, I was joking.
And they say, I was only joking. Now I got your attention. Now I got your attention.
That's the one, yeah.
As an experiment, why not? You know,
that would be an interesting social experiment. Yeah.
What's he talking about though, initially, before we digress?
Culture.
Culture, yes. Sorry, but we talk about culture and different aspects of culture. But I want to know what happened when you come back from France and you've got this culture behind you. You've won Mrs. UK.
Miss Jamaica UK.
Miss Jamaica UK. It's a bit mouthful. And then you've you've done what's that? Because you've done loads of other stuff as well.
I've done plenty of other things.
So let's find out about that. That's why, because I want to talk about your life.
I mean, I've done loads of different things. I've done modelling.
Modelling. What kind of modelling do you do, and how, where, why?
And most of it has been more recently, but I've done a bit of modelling before. I did modelling at the Afro Hair and Beauty Show. I've done catwalk modelling for different designers. A Nigerian designer, Ade Bakare, I've been doing modelling for many years, and actually he had his 30th anniversary couture show.
His name, sorry?
Ade Bakare.
Ade Bakare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big up Ade Bakare, by the way.
Yes.
Big designer.
Yes, done.
And so he had his 30th anniversary show last year, and I modelled for him doing that.
Nice.
But yeah, I guess when I came back, finished university, and just thought, like most of us back then, I got to get a job. So I got a job.
So wait. You finished university. So what did you study? It was just the international studies?
European studies.
European studies, yeah.
Yeah. Did I end up getting a job in that field? No. I ended up becoming a graduate.
French.
I learnt French.
Very fluently.
Yeah.
You lived with people from Guadeloupe in France.
I learnt their culture in France.
You ate all that good food.
Ate all that great
food.
food.
Paris like the back of your hand.
Had fresh croissants every day from the bakery down the road.
That's one of them things. Oh my God, French pastries. Tell me about the French pastries.
French pastries.
Real French pastries.
Real baguettes. No, where you go, you see people queuing at the bakery to get their baguettes and their croissants fresh.
In the morning in France.
And if you notice something, French people eat a lot of bread, but they're not fat. Just think about that. Yeah. Apparently it's to do with the chemicals in our bread versus the way their bread is made. So, in fact, European people generally eat a lot of bread.
But some of them are fat, sorry. Some of them, like, the other ones, there's some of them that
typically
eat bread.
French people aren't fat.
But the French, I concur with that. But there's other parts of Europe that eat bread and they got a bit plump.
Is it the bread though? Or is it beer? I don't know.
Yeah. But why are French people so slim when they eat bread? What's in our bread, people? What's in our bread?
They deliver bread in the morning as well. In the Caribbean.
Yeah? They deliver bread in the morning?
Oh, they deliver, do they?
Easy. Nice. And it's fresh, it's good bread. Fresh, What Caribbean countries?
That's the big one.
So is that it's not got a French background, has it?
Yes, it has actually. It does way back. Yeah.
Sit there?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, so I started working as a graduate trainee with London Underground. It was great job at the time. I thought it was. And I actually started on the same graduate program as Tim Campbell, who was the first winner of The Apprentice.
Okay. You black?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's a judge now on The Apprentice.
No, you mean he's brown? God.
And I did that I did many different roles with them. So you do a 2-year graduate training program where they gear you into management, and I did different placements in different parts of the business. And then immediately they want you to go into operational management. So I was an operations manager. I managed
for the underground, yeah.
For the underground, I managed train drivers.
How was that though? Because I know some people that are train drivers, right? And like people throw their shelves in front of trains and stuff a lot. And like I can't imagine what it's going to be like, because like I don't think they do it much with buses so much. But
no.
Trains, people, I've never seen it. I don't ever want to see it, but I've heard about it a lot. And I can't just imagine like driving. You had to deal
I've dealt with the aftermath of 2. One who was a fatality, the other one who survived.
And that I want to let you explain it to me as well. Yeah. But then I think from people that I know, like fire brigade people, whatever. Sometimes people do it, they just get their legs chopped off, or they just get.
Majority of people
they don't actually die. Yeah, they don't actually die from it.
They don't die.
Like, it's deep, man.
You know,
it's deep. But go on, please tell me about it. I'd hate to go.
Trains ran over them completely.
Let's go on.
Yeah. So it depends on the speed where they choose to jump and the speed of the train, but usually they end up with severed limbs but don't die.
Imagine that.
You don't hear that side. You know, those guys come to your school and just tell you, don't go on the train track.
Yeah.
And they show you the things that happen in the train track, but they don't tell you that. That's
I mean, high speed trains, that's a different. We're talking about the underground here. So if you're talking about high speed train where you want to go a high speed train crossing and
you're done.
You
don't even see it coming.
You're literally
the electric around there is enough.
Yeah, you don't even see them ones coming.
You'll be dead before the train comes.
Right?
But like graffiti on the front of the train.
On the underground, people. I mean, it's sad for somebody to get to that point where they want to end their life and then they feel like jumping in front of the train is the only way to do that. It's very sad. The 2 incidents that I dealt with, one lady, as I said, survived and pretty much unharmed. And the other lady, she died. And I saw, I got there. So as an operational manager, you have to investigate this. Your first duty of care is the driver.
Of course.
You make sure that the driver's taking care of whatever they need. They need to go straight home. You put them in a taxi home because it's really traumatic for anybody. But for somebody to try and take their life in front of your train, it's such a traumatic event. And so that's your first duty of care. And then obviously it depends on what's happening at the time. With the lady that sadly died, the medics will come and then you have to wait for the coroner to come to pronounce that person deceased, and you can't move them until that happens.
So
I remember that lady being moved.
You get counselling for that, though. You need counselling for that.
I didn't, to be honest. I didn't actually see the incident itself, and it was funny. I saw her laying on the track. She was fully intact, and it's funny. There wasn't as much blood as I thought there'd be. She had quite a serious wound to her forehead, but it wasn't bleeding.
Wow.
That's what I remember. And I wasn't like trying to
look, of course not.
Be like, of course not. Trying to take it all in.
I wouldn't have got nowhere near it though, but I just hear it. That's why I wanted to ask you. Like I know that stuff goes on.
With the train, it's not like knocking someone down in your car that you had full control over.
No, you can't.
No, you can't stop. Once they jump in front of
you, you can't brake.
You can't stop.
It's like it's like you can't feel that. Like you was just driving.
No, for me, it's like, I know people drive trains.
Obviously, seeing it.
You'll see it because you're in the front of the train. You'll see them coming.
It, but there's nothing you can do.
But you're still seeing it. And anything, like even when, like I've been in car crashes, when you see stuff, you see like you. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. Sorry to digress into that, but I just wanted to ask because you mentioned the underground. I don't know. So, but let's get more light. Let's get lighter. Let's get that beautiful smile there. There you go. Light on the roof of your smile. Come on. So after operational manager, if you want to talk more about the underground, you can. But
I mean, look, I did many different roles with them. I ended up being in head office for a few years. My last role with the underground was planning for the Olympics, the Olympic Games. So I put together.
What year was that?
That was in 2011 when I left there. And I develop their HR plan in terms of drivers, because they would have to increase the service for the amount of people taking the train. So the Olympic Games was what they called 100% public transport games, and there were no parking facilities at any of the venues for the average person. Disabled parking, but everybody was expected to get to all the venues by public transport. And so not only do you have people going to the events, but you have just people generally in the city soaking up the atmosphere, wanting to be in some of the fan zones, all travelling about the underground at more unusual times of the day. So usually you have your peak, your rush hour in the morning, in the evening, but depending on where events are and what time of the day they are, you had many more people using the system. And so you had to increase services at that time. And to increase services, you need more people to operate those services. So I was heavily involved in drawing up the plans for that. And actually, prior to that, London Underground had seconded me to Paris to work with, to spend a month with their metro doing some research.
Is that because you spoke French already?
Spoke French already.
So wait, so those European studies did come in.
They did come in, yeah. Yeah, they did. We had some people come over from the Paris Metro to London Underground and spend some time with us. And then similarly, we had an exchange program with them to do research about how they run their operations, when they have large events, how do they do it, how do they increase services, and so it's really interesting. So that was my last role with them, and then I basically left there for a number of reasons. I felt like I wasn't even though there was so much more within me to give, I wasn't able to progress any further with them. I felt like I'd hit the proverbial glass ceiling. And I thought it's now or never. Many people stay with a company like that for many years and have a great career. They get comfortable, but it's everybody's individual choice. But I knew there was a lot more in me, and I wanted to explore that while I was still young. So I left and then did many different things after that. Ended up going to Paris to work with the Metro because they offered me a job. Stayed there 6 months and then was offered a job with the Olympics, London 2012 Olympics. Came back, worked on that.
So you done the underground logistical stuff, then went to work at the Metro and then you came back to work on the actual Olympics, separately, yeah?
Separately.
Easy now?
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah. And all of these things just kind of happened organically. I actually said I want to work on the Olympics. This is when I was still with London Underground, and I did indirectly, but then I got a call to come back and work directly for the Olympics. So I did that for a year, and then from there I been working on the Olympics. There's lots of people who are in the events world, and I was asked to go and work on the Pan American Games in Toronto. So I went and lived in Toronto for 2 years.
Canada?
Yeah.
They speak French there as well, don't they?
Some parts,
yeah.
But it's very difficult to understand. Their accent
they speak English, bro.
Like but in Montreal
they literally speak our slang.
They do that. Toronto is like so similar to London in so many ways. It's fam. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I didn't know that. I've been there twice, but I didn't know that.
But also because they're a country of immigrants like we are.
Yeah, and then the internet. They're more into us than they're into the US.
That's right.
They feel more of a connection to us than the US.
To London, they love Top Boy.
Seriously,
you
know, educating me.
Yeah.
Well, I think didn't Drake do like he didn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he come down. Yeah. He's got my man's tattoo. Boy, better know.
Really?
Who done that?
That's another story.
Okay,
is that another story?
We won't go there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's about Janelle Raeburn. That's why we're here, not about anyone else. No, seriously. Yeah. Let's pronounce it right.
Raeburn. Raeburn,
that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Say my one again.
Ramon.
Now you put me on the spot.
That's all right. You're right. But it's Janelle Raeburn.
Raeburn, yeah.
It's a beautiful name.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so
I came back after spending 2 years in Toronto. Loved Toronto, by the way. Loved that city too.
It's nice. Did you go up you must have got up the thing.
Went up the tower.
I never went up the tower. I was just there.
But if you're near enough to the tower, you're near enough to the coastline, and not as many people as I thought. I didn't know this when I went there, but they actually have an island. So you can take a ferry, which is about 10 minutes from the coast of the lake, from the harbour front, they call it actually, over to Toronto Island. Beautiful. They got beaches. It's all on a lake. You'd think you're by the sea. It's not. It's Lake Ontario. But
not surfing and all that.
No, because you don't really have many currents with the lake.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually on one of the, is there 7 Great Lakes? I don't know. Maybe I got that wrong. But anyway, there's a few so-called Great Lakes in North America, and Lake Ontario is one of them. Yeah. And then it's obviously on the border with New York State. So you got Niagara Falls. I went to the falls.
Wow.
Explored a lot of the country.
Nice.
Went to Montreal where they speak French. Montreal's very different. It's very European in like its architecture and stuff like that. Another beautiful place. So yeah, I had a great time there and came back and then worked on the Champions League final in Milan.
Who?
The Champions League final in Milan.
Champions League final?
Yeah.
Don't just throw things away like that. What are you talking about? I went here, then I done this, then I done the Olympics in 2012. Champions League final. The Champions League football. Come on, that's we are the champion. I can't know the thing, but that's serious.
What was you doing there?
So I was their director of. I worked for a sports marketing agency. So a lot of the time with these big sports events, they'll get agencies in to help them run their operation. And I was working for a sports marketing agency as their director of accommodation and transport, running the program for one of their biggest sponsors, which was Nissan at the time. So running their hospitality program. So a lot of the time for these big events, especially like the Champions League final, the stadium is actually not filled with fans. I don't know if you know this. Most of it is filled with people who are benefiting from hospitality from whichever the sponsors are.
Okay.
So Nissan, for example, ran a hospitality program for 1,500 people. It would be some of their business partners, some of their key execs around the world, some of their top clients, and they'd invite them for this program.
Good food.
So you put on a program for them, good food. You take care of that. You kind of take over the hotels. You take care of their accommodation. You have a service desk in each of the hotels where can they go and eat, where can they go and shop, and then provide transportation for them from there to the stadium. Nice. So I did that.
Don't throw anything else away, please, because that's a big thing. I did the Champions League final.
And then I guess a next kind of big move after that. So that was a short-term contract. Obviously, it's like I think it was about 6 months, something like that. But then the next move after that was working with the Jamaica High Commission, running their program of celebrations in the UK for their 55th year of independence, and that was in 2017.
Nice.
So I put together a committee for that. I was the chair of the committee.
Nice.
And just came up with some kind of really creative and unique events. And one of those events, actually, which I'm very proud of, is partnering with a restaurant called Boysdale Restaurant. And and we put on the Jamaica Garden Terrace there. And
where is that? It's still in the country? Is it in London? Yeah.
Yeah, there's about 3 Boysdales, but the main flagship Boysdale. The main flagship one is in Canary Wharf. And I partnered with this kind of like a high-end-ish restaurant, if you like.
Do they make steak?
Yeah, steak and oysters and that kind of stuff. And they smoke cigars and they have a humidor. But the owner, so I was looking for something interesting and quirky to do. And the owner is very much a fan of Jamaica. And so a friend of mine introduced me to the owner. And we had a conversation and thought about what we could create for Jamaica 55, and he was very interested. He was also interested because he's of Scottish origin originally, in terms of exploring the ties between the connections between Scotland and Jamaica, obviously through the transatlantic slave trade and all the other connections there are in terms of surnames and people who've settled, in particular in St Elizabeth. On that coast, there were a lot of
that went to
Scottish
Jamaica.
Fishermen who settled there.
It's freezing in Scotland, isn't it? I'm probably not surprised they stayed in Jamaica. I stayed too.
So we created the Jamaica Garden Terrace for Jamaica 55, invited a whole load of guests to the opening, and then I said, at the opening, let's have a sound system play. So I got in touch with Saxon Sound System.
Saxon, yeah?
Yeah. So can you imagine, this is a restaurant in the heart of Canary Wharf with all these kind of financial corporate buildings around them. You got HSBC, you got this one here, you got Barclays here, and then on their terrace they've got a sound system blaring like Saxon blaring big speakers blaring reggae. It was just in theory it shouldn't have worked, but in practice it did, because you're kind of, again, culture, it's almost like a juxtaposition of 2 completely different cultures that just worked. You've got this really kind of stiff financial district culture, what's seen as can be very stiff, and then you've got this Caribbean culture that's just injected itself right into the heart of Canary Wharf. So it worked really well, and that was a lot of fun. And actually, I'm proud to say that Saxon, to this day, they still play at Boysdale Restaurant every Saturday.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Nice. I want to go and check it out.
Yeah, every Saturday they're there, and it's become a really successful night.
Yeah, it's a sound.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Big sound as well.
Yeah. I remember being following them when I was younger. Not following them, but going to blues when they played. And there's
big sound,
dub plates, all that, and the big old speakers.
And they actually they were the launch pad for a lot of artists' careers. Tipperary, Maxi Priest probably is the most well-known one. Yeah, they were the launch pad for a lot of artists. Okay. They're big in the carnival still now.
What kind of musicians did you have around you when you was younger? Because you're from Northwest. Like,
where's Smiley Culture from?
Yeah, he's from Brixton.
Yeah, I think he's south. But I had gosh. Now you're asking me a question, and I'm trying to remember names. Of course, Gappy Ranks, but he's of a younger generation. Definitely Gappy. Big Zeeks is of a younger generation.
No,
I don't know. I heard of Gappy Ranks.
But back then, on our estate, one of my friend's dads, he used to do music, Jassan, a Rasta guy. And any of the artists that would come over, they would go into the studio with Jassan.
Yeah, you see? So I'm saying, you had all of that.
Yeah.
Dreams was around your area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Colour.
Yeah. Dreams is a club.
He's the guy that used to own the club.
Oh.
Dreams.
No, look.
It was in Harlesden High Street, yeah.
Wizard, man. Oh, God.
Harlesden High Street.
Look, Janelle Raeburn, right? I'm going to say your full name so everyone remembers your name, yeah? I'm trying to, when I don't know something, I was told not to say, I don't know, act like I don't know. I was supposed to pull a face and he'd educate me. I'm pulling a face.
Yeah, you did too.
I did too. What's I did?
I'm trying to read it. I'm like,
I don't know, man. Dreams.
Yeah, it was a club.
What guy? It was a club.
Yeah.
If you, one Dreams one of the ones. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah, but I just said I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
It's so small. The entrance. Yeah, it's next to Iceland or something.
It was. I think it wasn't above as well. Like you'd have to go upstairs. Yeah.
So it's not even like, you know, if I said to you, Hippodrome, or we could go like Gas Club, or we could go up at Overground,
Rex,
we could go, but Dreams is like, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Like it's so. That's why I said Northwest is that world. They had everything. The artists were going straight there.
They were
for free.
Going straight there.
You know, there was there. Well, certain of us had to pay their big fees.
You know what I knew about Northwest was there was always good Caribbean food. That I didn't know. I know about food. You know, I'm a food person, but I know I'd always get a good plate of food over there, like Caribbean food.
They went down though. They went down. I can't lie.
No, but that's what I always knew over there. Like certain other places, south as well.
Now south. Even I'm gonna say south.
But it was you couldn't get much over this side.
No, we didn't have no Caribbean restaurants.
You get cockles and eels over east.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not serious, but
we had the best kebabs and fish and chips. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and the Arsenal.
There's a few nice Caribbean restaurants here though now.
What in North?
No.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years. In the last 10 years, but before we didn't have no Caribbean restaurants.
It still is for me. It's
You had Mr. C. He's not there anymore.
Mr. C, come on, big up Mr. C, big up Carlton. Well done, well done.
How long was Mr. I'm talking.
I think he had it for about 16. He said he had it for about 16 years because then he sold it.
Kids, I remember when Mr. C opened.
I remember when it opened.
I was there. Yeah, I know him.
He used to have another restaurant further up, but they weren't really so much focused on the food, so much as other things going on in their establishment. And they had a radio station, I think, and stuff like that. But Mr. C was there, and now you got Yum Yum, of course, and they are decent.
Yum Yum's decent.
They're very decent.
Not Caribbean. They're just cooking food. Like sweet chili wings is not Caribbean.
Yeah, it's not. But you know, I love that because they've got something for everybody. But if you have their Caribbean food, it's nice.
It's just good food.
It's good. Yeah, it's good food.
It's not like when I eat them, like this is like Caribbean food. It's just they've got a very unique taste to their food. The one in Holloway, like there's one.
Yeah,
one as well.
I don't know the Hackney one. I know the Holloway one.
Holloway one.
Yeah,
it's just nice food.
Opposite Pakeman, right?
Yeah, opposite Pakeman. Yeah, that's my primary school. Big up Pakeman.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, big up Pakeman. I ain't saying
my cousin went to Pakeman.
Is it?
Yeah.
Who's your cousin?
Oh, he's young. He's 13 now.
Oh, I thought you were like from.
No. All my family's from Northwest and West.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's only my aunt.
You said aunt, exactly. Aunt is an archery.
But she's originally from Ladbroke Grove, so.
Yeah, okay.
My cousin did go. So her elder daughters went to Mount Carmel, which doesn't exist anymore.
My daughter actually went there. It's called an academy, but she went there for the first half, and then it's mixed
now, isn't it?
Yeah, she moved to Hornsey.
They changed a lot of names for a lot of schools.
They're turning into academies. They're not even schools anymore.
It's business.
I thought I didn't.
Oh, it's business. They're businesses,
understand
aren't they?
that until I went to speak with the teacher.
They run like businesses. Yeah.
This is not like we don't run this place like a school.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You know what? Right, for me, I want to go back to what we were saying because sometimes the food's really good, but the service is really bad.
Yeah,
in Caribbean restaurants. Now, like sometimes the food, even if the service is bad, because the food's so good. Allow them. You know what I'm saying? And
I think it's getting better.
Nigerian shops are the same, G.
Yeah, but I mean,
Nigerians and Jamaicans are very similar in terms of attitude.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. All right. I wanna tell you a story which made me nearly die with laughter one day. So we was in a Nigerian restaurant in Hackney, and the guy's coming. It's like rush hour. The guy's coming. He's trying to get his food. But the people are being rude. You know, they're very nonchalant sometimes behind the food. I don't know what they're going for, but they're very nonchalant, very rude. The guy absolutely lost it. He lost it. I don't know what they did or said to him, but he warned him. He said, listen. And he knocked on it. He goes, listen, I've been having a bad day. You need to do what you're doing properly. Don't let my problem become your problem.
Oh, wow.
When he said, don't let my problem become your problem, the person fixed up quick. Wow. But the language that he used, even...
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Well, he's about to do something with this place. Seriously.
For people to understand.
Yeah, it was
straight to the point.
Like, don't let my problem become your problem.
Wow.
And they just fixed up. But it's a lot.
No, you're right. The service, I think places are improving, but that has been a common theme, that the service hasn't been great.
I'm not going to say the place, but you lot mentioned it, but that's why I don't eat there.
Okay.
But let's walk on to something else.
All right.
As I went quiet.
All
right. Okay. So, Janelle Raeburn.
Yes.
After doing, you've had the colourful lifestyle. You weren't even halfway through. You've worked for. Let's digress. Let's go back. So you've been international. You've done the thing in France. So you speak French, right? Then you've worked for the Underground. You've worked for the Olympics. You worked for the Metro. You worked for the Football League. You worked for the Jamaican High Commission. You've won accolades, Miss Jamaica UK.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have I missed something out? You've lived in an area that is so colourful culturally that it may be shaped and defined a lot of people's lives in the 80s, must say, 70s, 80s, because, and the food and everything. Because almost like now, where there's certain places where, like, I think it was Brixton and Harlesden, where certain places where you could only go to those places and get good Jamaican food or good Caribbean at the time, and so that was the concentration.
Black experience.
The black experience. Thank you. Then the whole kind of being involved in the music. Then bringing them over for that thing to what's the place in Canary Wharf?
Boysdale. Yeah.
And Jackson.
So I actually put the first proper reggae artist in Boysdale as well. Luciano,
wow,
performed at Boysdale, and then from there Freddie McGregor performed, and Lucci's performed a few times since then.
Wow,
there.
Nice.
Yeah. This is a restaurant that they usually do jazz and you know, kind of more. Yeah.
This is why we're here, really. You know, like when we sit here with me, the voice behind the camera, and the wizard. This is what we want. We want to talk about lives and understanding people where they've been. I would not have got that from you just looking at you or talking to you down the road. I wouldn't have known how colourful your life has been, and the colours still come. The masterpiece is still getting painted.
It's still getting painted.
You know what I'm saying? But just looking at you, I see a beautiful woman. I see something like a black woman, strong, healthy, but I wouldn't have got all of that unless I stop and talk. That's why it's important to talk, huh? Brown. My man.
What colour is your t-shirt?
My t-shirt. What colour is this t-shirt? Is it
brown?
Is it brown?
Yeah.
Brown, okay.
Brown.
Very close to your skin.
Yes, is it? Autumn. It's blended.
Autumn.
blended.
Nice.
Yeah.
Carry on giving her the compliments. Go on.
Yeah. I asked you earlier on your hair, and that is all your hair, and even that, like going back to like where you could find certain things, and growing up in that in the area you grew up in, and having a life of, you had family as well. For your father to send you to grammar school, for the foresight to understand the level of your intelligence, and to be there. Some people never had that. That's like, not for whatever reason. There's loads of different reasons, but to have that, it's amazing. And then for you to still be accessible, because I know people that would look like you, have your history or your knowledge of life, and be up their own arses, like, and be kind of rude or unapproachable, have bad energy, be more holy than now, you know, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
a lot of those kind of people, they're in the early stage of greatness.
Yeah, but whatever stage.
She's been doing
some, but I don't think.
No, that's not.
But I don't think I've ever. I've just always been who I am, authentically down to earth. And for me, people are people. We had this conversation earlier today. I'm just interested in people, and it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how much money you have or you don't have. I just love knowing and understanding and interacting with people. And I think that's for the most part, that's how we learn, and that's a huge part of how we evolve as well, by understanding other people. So, you know, I will never forget where I'm coming from. Where I'm coming from has shaped who I am today, and continues to shape me. It's funny that you know, now I'm talking about the stuff that I've done. It's only in more recent years I kind of look back and say, actually, I've done quite a bit.
You have.
But I've never really been fully cognizant of it, because I just do and move through life and do and have experiences and seize opportunities. But when I look back, I'm like, actually, yeah, I have. And you know, people, especially younger females, I've mentored a few younger females and have said to me, you know, how much I've inspired them in the things that I've done. And I've had to take a stock and think, I don't know if I've done that much. But then when I talk about it, I think, actually, no, I have. And I really give thanks for all of the opportunities and experience I have. And there's more to come. I mean, you know, I feel like that we're constantly evolving. And, you know, more recently I've got into presenting, and I've hosted a few online shows, and I've done a radio show and stuff like that. So did I expect?
Can I just one more? Can I just one more? I just want to just. You could give me that. I just want to just one more.
I Live UK.
You see what I'm saying now. But you're a very beautiful woman, right? But in this discussion now, your beauty has grown exponentially for me. That's what I'm trying to say to you. With all these things I know about you and the way you carry yourself, I'm like, damn. Because if I looked at you, oh, she's pretty, she's nice. You know what I mean?
Thanks,
proud woman. But now I'm thinking, wow, like.
And I think a lot of us are focused too much on the aesthetics, so we can look at somebody, a situation, or a person, and make an assumption.
Yeah.
And then we don't actually get to understand. Our conclusions are based on that assumption. You remember earlier today we were talking about, how does a blind person experience the world? Well, they don't have that first image, so they have to experience it in a different way. They have to get to know people. They have to get to understand what lies beneath. And I think that a lot of the time, you know, when I interact with people, they will make an assumption about who I am or what I'm about, or she must be high maintenance, or she's like this, or she's like that, or honestly, or even, you know, wow, you're intelligent, you got brains, oh my gosh, like, well, you're a double threat because you look a certain way, and it's like, well, why are the two mutually exclusive? Can't they coexist? You know, so I think that even though visually what we see in the world is really important, we you know, it's a big part of how we interpret the world. I think we need to be able to use all of our senses and our emotional intelligence to really figure out who people are and what they're about, and not just make assumptions about people.
I think a lot of people do that because they feel like, initially they feel like, what can I offer? Even though it's not, maybe it's not the right thing to think, but as men, I know that men think, what can I offer this person? What can I present? Can I come and put on the table? Is it like? You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I love you know. It's like,
what can I put on the table?
Is it?
Like, how can I even? Is that she's had that already?
But there you go. There's all the assumptions, right? Instead of them just saying, "Hi, how are you?" Like, you know, what's going on?
The crumbleness. How is it? It's like, what did I just say there? I'm not saying I do. I'm just explaining what men go through. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it. The words just go. You know what I'm saying?
You sorry, I interrupted you. You was going to ask a question about the radio thing.
She told me.
I Live UK. Yeah.
Okay. And that's the only.
That was with Now Chat. I've
talk so fast. Please slow down. That was with the NAW whatever.
Now Chat Show. No Ordinary Woman Chat Show. So I'll tell you a story about that. Again, I'm going to big up my co-host Kaz Mack and the founder of
Kaz Mack. Yo.
No Ordinary Woman Chat Show.
No Ordinary Woman Chat Show.
Has Kaz got yellow hair?
Yes.
I met Kaz.
You met Kaz, yeah.
She's cool. She's really cool.
Love her to bits.
Yeah, Kaz a bit more. The voice behind the camera said, yo, Kaz, big yourself up.
So we met randomly at an event. She had a set up for No Ordinary Woman Chat Show. I was doing some interviews at the event, and I saw her set up, and I was just drawn to her, and we had a conversation. We got on really well, and we kind of connected from there and became friends. She was kind of just starting out the journey with No Ordinary Woman Chat Show, and then eventually down the line she asked me to come and co-host with her, and I did. And then lockdown happened, and then we were encouraged to do some Instagram lives, and we did a series of that. So before we were doing shows, pre-recorded shows, and then we started doing some Insta lives, and it became really popular, really successful, and we had it around certain themes. Then we were asked to come and have an interview on iLive UK.
Yeah.
And we walked in for an interview and walked out with a show, basically. They offered us the show.
Nice.
And so, yeah, that's how I ended up doing radio with her. And I did that for a bit and then kind of tailed off to kind of focus on some other stuff that I wanted to do, and still popped in and out with her as a guest co-host. And have done Colourful Radio as well as a guest co-host the last couple of weeks.
Colourful Radio?
Yeah.
What's that about?
So Colourful is...
is that a brown radio station?
You could say that, but it's quite a popular online radio station. And I was on a friend of mine, a sister of mine's show, Iola. So she's got a show every Tuesday called Owning It with Iola. Okay. And I popped in a couple.
Go ahead and own it with Iola.
Go and own it with Iola every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Colourful Radio. There you go.
That comes from Janelle Raeburn. Okay. Remember who's giving it to you.
And I just realised, like, naturally, I had a flair for presenting. I love it. I love talking to people. I love getting to understand people. I love exposing stories that may not be heard, just a bit like yourself, you know, stories that may not necessarily be heard otherwise, because you don't know who's watching, you don't know who's listening, and you don't know who you may be inspiring. So for me, that is really the essence of life. And somebody will get something from the show and you maybe don't even know who this person is, but you know, you're reaching people and touching people. So I love that.
No, it's beautiful.
Definitely. No, your co-host is cool. I mean, we met.
Where'd you meet Gav?
What was that festival called? We was rolling with Bobby V.
Oh, Metro Fest! Oh, Steve! Oh, yeah! With Stacey. Big up Stacey as well.
Her and Stacey saved us.
Oh, really?
I had to give Bobby V's car. Their whole thing was mad.
Yeah, I heard.
So Bobby V's car. I had
she
to put
told
Bobby
me
V
about
in my
this.
car. But then now I was hitting up the guy, telling the guy he has to get me the car that he was going to get for Bobby V, because they took my transport.
She did tell me about this.
Then we ended up with Stacey and Kaz. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's a small world after all.
Trying to walk it out of there, then they took us back to the hotel, but they saved us that day. So always, that's why I remember.
What's their name?
Stacey and Kaz.
Big up Stacey and Kaz.
Yeah.
Big up Stacey.
Yeah, they're my girls, man.
Cars, I'm saying.
Yeah.
What radio station?
So Kaz and I were on iLive UK. Stacey does a lot of music promotions, PR, she's a publicist as well. So and then Kaz was working with Stacey at Metro Fest on that day. She was doing that. I think she was managing the whole media side of things that day.
She works with Bobby V as well.
Yeah,
she works with my cousin Kanja as well. And he rolls with Bobby V as an artist as well.
Family affair.
Yeah.
It's a fair.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's the last time.
It's a small world.
It was cool that from that day we spoke and
it's good people.
I said I wanted to work with her. Do you know what I mean? But we just haven't spoken since.
Well, look, there's
a link right there.
Yeah.
Let's get down. Maybe I can interview her.
You definitely need to interview her.
Yeah. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Kaz is amazing. She's really inspirational.
So are you.
Thank you.
So are you.
Yeah.
So are you.
So are you. Well, thank you. I received that. Thank you very much. Come on. So you did a show with a good friend of mine as well, like interviewing or talking, a talk show. You did a talk show, right?
With Quincy?
Quincy,
yeah.
What they call?
Big up Quincy, by the way.
Quincy, love Quincy. You know, he talks really fast. He talks so fast. Got that but love for Quincy. Quincy's a big character in himself, and I love his energy. I've known him for years. Got nothing but respect for him. When he was doing, I don't know if he still does comedy.
He does.
Yeah. When
he's got something called Stand Up Mondays, the last Monday of every month.
Okay.
And he has a different comedian that comes on and does that at the Backyard Comedy Club.
Hashtag Stand Up Mondays.
Yeah.
I'll have a bushes of that.
Yeah. So I think the next one's the 28th of February, something like that.
So how was it working on the show
with Extra Time Friday? Again, that kind of just happened. So he'd seen some stuff, some hosting that I'd done at a few events. He had a concept for his new show. He started the first season, Extra Time Friday. And he asked me to come on as a guest co-host, just to host one show, and it went so well that he's like, do you just want to do this for the season? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then we did, and then we did season, so that was in early 2021, and then we did season 2 in October 2021. And then season 3 will be sometime later on this year. So maximum respect to Quincy as well, in kind of getting massive love for him, love working with him. Very funny guy, very talented guy, got a lot of vision and foresight, and just to bring me in again and put me on his platform. And really he's also encouraged me to he's like, it's not just about doing this with me, but I really want to see you go out and flourish and do your own thing. So there's a few ideas I've got in the pipeline for this year.
Good. We can't wait to see what's going to come next from Janelle Raeburn, right? Janelle Raeburn, right? Janelle Raeburn. I'll crumble that. You wanker. It's those mince pies, darling. I'm looking at you eyes like, I just crumbled, didn't I? What am I going to do?
Sorry.
That's my powers.
Oh, man. Yeah, so now if I was any brown or lighter brown, I'd go red. Right?
You are going red. Yeah. You're a reddish shade of brown right there.
Leading that, is there any, we're leading that now? We're going to keep going?
Yeah, is there anything that you
anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. I mean, it's been fantastic coming on here. Thank you so much. I think just to let the people know how this happened, this all happened today.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, we've connected.
Yeah.
But
we didn't just know each other today, though.
No, we didn't just know each other today. But we, you know, we had a meeting today to chat about a few ideas. We had a conversation. You'd invited me on the show already, but then you were like, you know what? Today, no time like the present. Let's do it today. So it happened today, and the energy was right. So I give thanks, and I love what you guys do, and I love to see our people creating stuff because we are so creative. We've got so much inside to give, and we need to get it out and show the world. So it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, just keep doing your thing, and when I do my thing, I might be having you guys on to showcase you guys, especially you behind the camera.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you behind the camera. That's amazing. That's the amazing, fantastic, wonderful Janelle Raeburn over here. We've got the voice behind the camera, the wizard, and that's Live Talks with Fawole. Thank you guys.
And I'm just going to give my handle in case anyone wants to see some of the stuff I'm doing.
Please.
It's at Janelle Raeburn on Instagram. You'll find me JANELLERAEBUR.
And up at the bottom of the screen as well. Check it out, please. Thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me.
You want to talk about anything else, like stuff?
Well, yeah, you know, as well as doing all of the things I've mentioned, I also love music. I don't sing, but I am very involved in music. I've been exposed to music from an early stage. From Northwest. I've managed a music artist in the past, and I just love to hear new talent and nurture new talent and support young creatives coming up. And linked to that is doing music events. So I was involved in the organisation for City Splash, the first major reggae festival in London, I'd say in the last 30 years, and that was last year in 2021. Leela Ike and Beanie Man headlined. This year it's going to be in Brockwell Park.
You was involved in that as well, was it you? You done something for that Beanie Man after party? You not touch on videos?
I went to Beanie Man one day, you see.
Yeah, he was here for a while though, wasn't he? Yeah, he was here for a while.
I'm trying to think.
City Splash was in Beckenham Place Park last year on the 12th of September.
They would know more than me. I kind of know more, but movies, their music.
Yeah. So this year, 2022, it's going to be on the 29th of May in Brockwell Park. We've got Cranium, we've got Barrington Levy, Protege. Oh my gosh. Rockers LDN. Yeah, Rockers LDN is a duo doing great things in the cultural space in the UK, many other things, but great things in the cultural space and music space. So I've worked with them basically on City Splash. This year is edition 2. Bigger and better than last year. Last year was phenomenal, like exceeded all of our expectations, but this year is edition 2 in Brockwell Park. So anybody listening out there who is interested, get your tickets because they are selling real fast. But it's going to be like a great event.
It's called
City Splash.
City Splash, May
29th. Sunday, May 29th. Brockwell Park. Yeah. Just Google City Splash and you'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brockwell Park. That's sad.
You got Stoneboy, Mr. Easy. Who else is? There's so many people on the lineup. Saxon Sound's on the lineup. Okay. Got Rampage on the lineup.
Okay.
Yeah. So gosh, the list is endless.
Do you prefer reggae music to any other music? What music genres are you?
I love. No, I do.
Hold on, this was loving it. What's wrong? Don't say wrong now. What's wrong with reggae music?
No, I haven't heard someone say it like that.
Yeah, reggae music before.
You know the whole genre is called dancehall now. That's what we.
It's called
the latest. So the Craniums of the world, dancehall. The Beanie Mans of the world, dancehall. And dancehall actually started to evolve from the late 80s into the 90s.
Was that the reggae music? Am I saying?
But that's the evolution of reggae music. But you still have reggae. You still actually have reggae.
Reggae is still in dancehall.
Dancehall is part of reggae.
Like, in terms of like, if you go on the categories
what was Dennis Brown?
Dennis Brown was reggae.
That's what I like. What's Sanchez
reggae?
Reggae.
Yeah, those are the ones like.
You got Chronics. That's still reggae.
Chronics is reggae.
Yeah. What's Chronics?
Who's Chronics? Oh dear.
I should have just done that.
He's probably the biggest new modern day reggae artist to come out of Jamaica.
You're gonna enjoy so much. You got so much to enjoy.
Yeah.
If you haven't, if you don't know who he is,
you need to get to know. You will have heard it. You will have heard his tunes.
But that's fine because, like you said, you love discovering new artists.
Exactly.
And I love discovering new things. Life is a funny journey for different people. It depends what your eyes and mind and heart is open to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you miss things, and I'm so involved. These lot work me. They work me and work me and work me. So I don't have time to listen to music or find new artists.
you would have heard.
I've got an 8-track CD. You know what I'm saying?
Don't knock the CDs because I got plenty of CDs at home. I love a CD.
Over and over again. But Chronics, yeah.
Chronics, and a few others. Protege.
Okay.
But yeah. They're considered the reggae revival artists, so the new reggae artists.
Yeah,
Protege is cold.
Yeah,
cool.
But are they conscious or are they like?
They are conscious.
Yeah.
Good.
So I like to reggae. They have to be conscious.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's a prerequisite of reggae music.
Pretty much.
Okay, which is good. That's what I like, stuff that makes me feel good. I mean, I don't mind the bit of the, I don't know if you call it dancehall.
It is dancehall.
I don't mind a bit. Okay, don't mind a bit. You know, like a bit of that. Like Baby Wayne. We said this in my last show. Like that. I like that. Mama, all that kind of. I like them educational ones, but I don't like negative things usually. Like within music, any kind of music.
You said you're listening to Tupac.
Yeah.
Oh dear, you touching her, yeah?
West Side.
I mean, he was just. I guess.
But yeah, dear mama, Brenda's got a baby. Keep your head up. Think about it.
Bare depressing tunes.
Keep your head up. That's not a depressing tune.
It is, man. The beat and everything about it is depressing.
It depressed you. It made me feel good.
Keep your head up.
Child, things are gonna get easier.
Come on.
Is there a silent song?
I like that because I need that.
Even the original of that.
Child, things are gonna get
easier.
It's a sad song. It's a sad connotation.
Don't it make you feel sad?
Don't tell me you can't sing, Janelle Raeburn.
I can't sing.
And you, voice behind the camera.
Don't worry, me and Janelle gonna make a mix.
I sing in the shower. I sing in the shower, but that's about it.
You hit some notes.
Yeah.
You just hit some notes. Some really nice notes.
Hitting notes and singing, there's a big gap in between.
Now. Let's go there, right? Who defines whether it is one or the other? Because when your mother sings to you as a child and it soothes you, it might not be good for everyone's ear, but that soothes you as a child. That's like, true. You know that if it's the first thing you ever hear, even if she's like, come on. Who defines whether it's right or wrong? Where do we say right or wrong, or it's good singing or bad singing or stuff like that?
Frequencies.
I was gonna say it's about frequency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it 432?
Yeah.
Do you know about the hertz of the?
Course.
Is it 432?
That's just 432. That's one set of frequency that will keep you a certain way.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine your mum singing to you like that. You're gonna come out of it.
But frequencies are important, and just kind of on frequencies, talking about singing and the collective energy that you can get from singing. That's why choirs are so powerful. That's why gospel music is so powerful. That's why singing in church is so powerful, and dancing. So there's a spiritual energy that comes through singing and dancing.
Yes.
And back to our roots, our ancestry, African culture, singing and dancing is so important.
Definitely.
And the cultural energy that comes through, many people believe that's from your ancestors and is actually a spirit that comes through.
Exactly.
So when people are in the spirit in church, or when you with the music and the music just takes you, that's you saying you're feeling
all of that spiritual ancestry that you have. You're connecting with that and the source.
Like that.
Yeah. Well,
that one's a bit judgy. That's a Nigerian judge cake. Yeah.
That's a Nigerian judge. What happened to you, man? I love it. Yeah. Now, is there anything else you want to talk about on this?
No, not really. I mean, look,
sure?
I'm sure there's just so much that I've still got within me yet to do.
So
not even unpack.
You didn't say who you manage.
I managed. I previously managed an artist. Her name is Tashai Makeda.
Tashai Makeda. What kind of music was that? Good,
roots soul. So it's her own. She's a British. I'd say she could be categorized as a reggae artist, but she's created her own genre, which is called root soul. Do you plan to manage more artists? Not for now, no. Too much going on for me. Managing an artist is a big job. It's a big undertaking. Don't get me wrong. It was fantastic, really rewarding. But I think with the things I'm focused on, I just wouldn't be doing myself or them justice if I was to go into that. Not to say that I wouldn't consider any offers if someone was to approach me, but yeah.
I think you're a good manager for artists.
Yeah,
with everything that you've done already.
Everything you do and what you've done.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It was the first and the only artist I've managed, but I think I did an all right job.
So when you say, if you say merci, I say très bien, that's welcome, right? Or no? How's it work?
Très bien.
Très bien, you're welcome.
Very good.
Very good.
So how do you say you're welcome? De rien.
De rien.
Which means it's nothing.
De rien. I'm singing that.
So if you said to me merci, I'd say de rien, which means it's nothing.
Oh, say it again.
De rien.
Oh, one more time, please. One more time, please.
De rien.
And that is, I think we're going to wrap up.
Let me ask you. Do you have any advice for the young people? Because I know, like, you've got your experience quite vast, so it's like your advice would be quite I think you could have general advice that would help a lot of people in whatever field they're in, rather than it just being the things that you've done, because you've done quite different things as well and been successful in them. So what would be your advice to some of the younger people coming up?
I think my advice would be, don't let anybody's opinion stop you from going where you want to go. Self-belief for me is the biggest thing. If you can dream it, then you can be it. If that's your dream, go for it and believe in yourself. That's the key that's going to get you wherever you want to be. If you have a passion, just go and just seize every moment. I think a lot of the time people put things off or think, maybe tomorrow, or have for some reason as humans, our default is self-doubt. I don't know whether it's we're socialized that way, but we have this default mechanism in our brain of self-doubt, or maybe I can't. Knock all of that out the window. You can, and if you tell yourself you can, then you will. It's as simple as that. It sounds so cliche and so basic, but it's actual facts. You say to yourself, I can do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to achieve this, then believe you me. Now you got to put in the work. Don't get me wrong, you got to put the work in, but from you are dedicated and you're focused, you can do it. Do not allow anybody to come and steal your dreams or take your dreams away from you, because a lot of the time, if you say you want to do something and somebody says, maybe this, or maybe you can't, or that's their fears projecting onto you. Fear is, we all experience fears, but it's just an emotion. You feel it, you accept it, you sweep it to one side, and you keep moving forwards. Just keep moving forwards, and just know that you can be whatever you want to be.
I like that. And you never regret what you do. People only regret what they don't do, or you haven't done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think this is a quote from Kaz, from is it Miles? Yeah, Miles Davis? It must be Miles Davis, I think. Okay, I could be wrong. But anyway, it's a quote that says, basically the graveyard is the richest place in any given country in the world, because there's so many ideas and dreams that are buried. So the idea is don't go to your grave empty, basically. Don't keep your dreams inside of you. So go to your grave empty, depleted of all your dreams. Your dreams are out there. They're in the universe, and the world is your oyster.
Do it while you're here. I love that. That's from Janelle Raeburn. Love that. I love that.
Oh, and not just for money as well. You chase the dream and the money will come. That's a quote from someone else as well.
Give me free. I want free. That's what's up. Yeah.
Don't chase the money, chase the dream.
Yeah, we good?
Yeah.
We good.
So, I did an outro, man.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That was Live Talks with Fawole, the amazing Janelle Raeburn. The amazing, gorgeous Janelle Raeburn. You can't see him, but he's gorgeous too. The voice behind the camera. And we've got the wizard, he's quite a looker as well. Hey! And you got me, Fawole. We'll see you next time, yeah? Love yourself, love life. Enjoy that.